Good afternoon. This is Kathleen Drew, Chair of the Energy Facility Site Evaluation Council, calling today's meeting to order. Ms. Grantham, will you call the roll?
Certainly. Department of Commerce. Department of Ecology.
Sorry, Elizabeth Osborne present for Commerce. My apologies.
No worries. Thank you, Ms. Osborne. Department of Ecology. Mr. Levitt is present. Fish and Wildlife. Department of Natural Resources.
Glenna Young, present.
Utilities and Transportation Commission.
Stacy Brewster, present.
Local Government and Optional State Agencies for the Horse Heaven Project, Benton County, Ed Brose. For Badger Mountain, Douglas County, Jordan Julio.
Jordan Julio, present.
For the Watoma Solar Project for Benton County, Dave Sharp.
Present.
Washington State Department of Transportation, Paul Gonzett. For the Hop Hill Solar Project for Benton County, Paul Crouppen. For the Carriger Solar Project, Clickitat County, Matt Childs.
Matt Childs, present.
Assistant Attorney Generals, John Thompson.
Present.
Jenna Slocum. Zach Packer.
Present.
Administrative Law Judges, Adam Torum. For Council Staff, Sonia Bumpus.
Present.
Amy Hofgemeyer.
ALJ Gerard is here, by the way. I'm not sure if you have me on roll call.
Thank you. And that was Dan
Also-
Gerard.
It was. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, ALJ Laura Bradley's present.
Thank you. Back to council staff. Amy Moon,
Amy Moon, present.
Stu Henderson,
Present.
Joan Owens,
Present.
Dave Walker, Sonia Scavland,
Present.
Sarah Randolph,
Present.
Sean Green,
Present.
Lance Caputo,
Present.
John Barnes, Joanne Snarsky,
Present.
Alex Shiley,
Present.
Allie Smith,
Allie Smith, present.
Carl Halapa,
Carl Holpa, present.
Audra Allen,
Present.
Zia Ahmed,
Present.
Maria Belkina,
Present.
Lisa McLean,
McLean, present.
Adrian Barker,
Present.
Catherine Taliaferro, Alondra Zalewski.
Present.
For operational updates, Kittitas Valley Wind Project, Jared Castay,
Jared Cassidy, President.
Cassidy, excuse me, thank you. Wild Horse Wind Power Project, Jennifer Galbraith,
Jennifer Galbraith, present.
Grays Harbor Energy Center, Chris Sharon, Chehalis Generation Facility, Jeremy Smith,
Jeremy Smith is present.
Columbia Generating Station, Felicia Naheda Paxton,
Present.
Columbia Solar, Thomas Cushing,
Thomas Cushing, present.
Goose Prairie Solar, Jacob Christ.
Jacob Chris, present.
And do we have anyone present for the Council for the Environment?
Yes, Sarah Reineveld is present. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, there is a quorum for all of the councils. Thank you.
Oh, of course. Okay, thank you. A little microphone issue here. Now we will move on to our proposed agenda, council members. You see the proposed agenda in front of you. Is there a motion to adopt the proposed agenda?
Lenny Young, so moved.
Thank you.
Second, Eli Levitt.
Thanks. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the meeting minutes from February 21st, the monthly council meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Stacy Brewster, so moved.
Thank you. Second.
Mike Livingston, second.
Okay. I have two changes. Edits to make on page 10, line 20. Changing the name Jerry to Jeremy. And on page 26, line 25, after the word and, add the word expect. Are there any other corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the minutes, approving the minutes as adopted, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Moving on to our facility updates. Kittitas Valley Wind Project, Mr. Cassidy.
Good afternoon, Chair Drew, FSEC Council and staff. This is Jared Cassidy with EDP Renewables for the Kittitas Valley Wind Project. We had nothing non-routine to report for this period.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Wild Horse Wind Power Project, Ms. Galbraith.
Yes, thank you, Chair Drew, council members and staff. For the record, this is Jennifer Galbraith with Puget Sound Energy at the Wild Horse Wind Facility. And I also have nothing non-routine to report for the month of February.
Hey, thank you. Chehalis Generation Facility, Mr. Smith.
Good afternoon, Chair Drew, council members and staff. This is Jeremy Smith, the operations manager for the Chehalis Generation Facility. And I as well have no non-routine items to report for the month of February.
Thank you. Grays Harbor Energy Center, Mr. Sharon, or if he's not there, Ms. Randolph.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Drew, council members. For the record, this is Sarah Randolph, site specialist for Grays Harbor. The annual compliance certification, ACC, has been reviewed and is in your packet. The application for modification for the air operating permit, AOP, has been reviewed. We've been reviewing and coordinating with ORCA, the permit writer, to develop amendments and anticipate going to council at the April council meeting. The National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, NPDES permit is under review. There are no other updates at this time to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there questions for Ms. Randolph? Can you remind me about what the process is? Again, you'll bring it to us to review, and following that, there will be public hearing on the permit.
It goes out for public comment for 30 days.
Correct. For the record, this is Amy Hofkemeyer. Staff anticipate bringing the draft amendment to the air operating permit for this facility to the council to open up for a 30-day public comment period, as Ms. Randolph just mentioned. Following that, any comments received would be addressed, and then it would go to the EPA for review before being issued.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a little while since we had one, so I just wanted to make sure we knew what the process was there. Columbia Solar, Mr. Cushing.
Good afternoon, Chair Drew, council members, FX staff. This is Thomas Cushing speaking on behalf of Columbia Solar. There are no non-routine updates to report.
Thank you. Columbia Generating Station, Ms. Nahira Paxton.
Good afternoon, Chair Drew, council members and staff. For the record, this is Felicia Nahara Paxton providing updates for Energy Northwest, Columbia Generating Station, and the Washington Nuclear Project 1 and 4. Columbia Generating Station has one non-routine update to provide for this month's meeting regards to environmental compliance. On March 6th, we, in the written update, there's a greater detailed report, but on March 6th, we experienced a total maximum daily effluent limit excursion for total residual halogen, or TRH, out of our NPDES permit discharge into the Columbia River. The level of the permit max is 0.1 milligrams per liter. Our exceedance at the time of discovery was, let me try to see if I said it right here. Actually, I don't think we provided that. So whenever we reviewed the data, it appears that the issue was an ongoing issue. Upon discovery, we closed down the discharge, and we were able to treat through dehalogenation the system. It was due to equipment failure. We submitted a 5-day report following our immediate report on the day of discovery to FSEC, and we are continuing to investigate the equipment malfunction that resulted in this violation. And if you all have any questions, then please take your time to read the report, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Ms. Nahira Paxton? Okay, we have a hand up. Let me see here. Mr. Young.
Has the equipment that malfunctioned been either repaired or replaced?
So yes, it has been repaired, but we are investigating a mechanism to prevent a recurrence, and that's part of the what we call a CAP program, or corrective action program, where we do a risk analysis and kind of a deep dive into the issue to prevent the reoccurrence. And currently, we're in compliance. We actually kind of are surprised that this occurred just because we had redundancies in place, which is how we were able to verify for the period of time that we did have discharge, where the levels, once they did increase, we were able to identify when they did increase and kind of backtrack from there and identify the issue.
Okay, thanks. Could you provide us an update on how that process has gone at our next monthly meeting?
Yes, sir. We are committed to submit an update next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goose Prairie Solar, Mr. Christ.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chair Drew, FSEC Council and staff. For the record, this is Jacob Christ, Senior Project Manager on behalf of Brookfield Renewable. So the project remains on schedule, on an accelerated schedule, actually trying to pull COD, commercial operations, into 2024. And in communications with BPA, we're likely to achieve our accelerated schedule. The PV panel delivery finished up in February. Perimeter fence finished up in February. Racking and tracker activities all continue. Module installation continues. Terminations on inverters, combiner boxes, all are hovering around 30%. And then above ground wire management installation is ongoing. For environmental compliance, we had no discharge to report in February, and the project is draining as expected. We are continuing to hold the weekly environmental compliance inspections and site inspections with WSP, with no findings significant reported to date. And then we did hold a Washington Department of Ecology and FSEC SWIP inspection on site in the month of February. And then one additional item not on the report for a follow-up from the January report. The diesel fuel spill that was reported in January, we received the soil test results back and everything was negative for a diesel fuel penetrating the ground at any depth. So that area has been completely cleaned up, gravel back on top of the area, and the tank has been moved and in a secondary containment at this time. Any questions?
Thank you. Yes. When are you, is the schedule now for completion of construction? And then you said even operations to begin operations this year.
Yes, so it's an 80 megawatt facility. We're looking at mid-June to start our 90-day testing period with the utility BPA with our first 20 megawatt block. It wouldn't be considered commercially operational per FSEC definition at that time. Per FSEC definition, it's more likely going to land in late September. Our current project schedule has late September. Our baseline project schedule was in January of 2025, so we pulled it back approximately 3 months, 3.5 months.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
High Top and Ostria, Ms. Randolph.
Thank you. Chair Dew, council members, and staff. For the record, this is Sarah Randolph, Site Specialist for High Top and Ostria. FSEC staff are continuing to work with the developer on pre-construction requirements and plans. We have no other updates at this time.
Thank you. Whistling Ridge project update, Mr. Caputo.
Thank you, Chair Drew and council members. The applicants for the Whistling Ridge Energy Project have submitted 2 petitions to the council to amend their site certification agreement. We are finalizing the details of the public informational meetings to be held before the council. We will notify the public when these meetings are scheduled. May I answer any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Badger Mountain project update. Ms. Snarsky?
Thank you, Chair Drew. And good afternoon, council members. For the record, this is Joanne Snarsky, the siting specialist for Badger Mountain Solar. Efforts continue on the development of the Supplemental Cultural Resources Survey. A work plan has been completed for the initial pedestrian survey. Additionally, we are very near full execution of the land use license agreement we are entering into with the Department of Natural Resources to perform the necessary tasks needed on state lands. The work will likely begin in late April or May. As a reminder, the findings of this survey will inform the Cultural Resources section of the draft Environmental Impact Statement. Finally, FSEC and the Department of Ecology have been working with the applicant on some final field assessment work that will be performed this spring. This work is intended to confirm and/or eliminate wetland characteristics on the proposed site. Again, this work is necessary to inform the Water Resources section of the draft Environmental Impact Statement. May I answer any questions?
Are there any questions for Ms. Snarsky? Thank you. Watoma Solar project update, Mr. Caputo.
Thank you, Chair Drew and council members. Staff are continuing coordination with our contracted agencies, tribal staff, and the applicant to refine identified mitigation. Staff anticipate issuing a mitigated determination of non-significance ahead of the April 17th meeting. This will be noticed to the public and have a minimum 14-day public comment period. Staff are also working in coordination with the Office of Administrative Hearings and our AG support in preparation of the adjudicated proceedings logistics. May I answer any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Caputo? Thank you. Hop Hill Solar, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, Chair Drew and council members. For the record, this is John Barnes, FSEC staff for the Hop Hill application. Work is progressing with the applicant to complete studies and reports needed to make a SEPA determination. We are continuing to coordinate and review the application with our contractor, contracted agencies, and tribal governments. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Barnes? Okay. Thank you. Carriger Solar.
Thank you, Chair Drew and council members. For the record, this is Joanne Snarsky, the siting specialist for Carriger Solar. As you may recall, last August, we sent a letter to the applicant, Cypress Creek Renewables, regarding the preliminary SEPA notification, that's State Environmental Policy Act, as required by the revised Code of Washington 80.50.090. Based on their application submittals, staff determined their proposal may have significant impacts on visual aesthetics and cultural resources. Within the same law, the applicant is also allowed to revise their application with the intention of working towards a mitigated determination of non-significance. Through this past fall, staff worked closely with the applicant on this issue, and it resulted in a request for some additional simulations to be completed for the visual impact assessment. Our request included fencing and panel setbacks from the two primary transportation roads adjacent to the proposed site. Earlier this month, we received drafts of the requested simulations. Following internal discussion, we have a few additional clarifying questions, which we provided to the applicant this week. Next steps will include meeting with the applicant and further evaluation of their mitigation proposal to reduce impacts to visual aesthetics for non-significance. With regards to the cultural resources, the applicant is working on revising the cultural resource survey based on recent comments from the Yakima Nation. The final survey and completion of the traditional and cultural resource survey by the Yakima Nation late this year will be used to inform the SEPA determination for this resources. Excuse me, are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Ms. Snarsky? Thank you for the update. Horse Heaven Wind and Solar Farm, Ms. Moon.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council Chair Drew and FSEC council members. For the record, this is Amy Moon reporting on the Horse Heaven Wind project. Staff are working on preparing the draft recommendation report to the governor, as well as a draft site certification agreement containing conditions as discussed by the council in the December, January, and February council meetings. We currently anticipate providing these documents for council review and public comment on April 1st through April 10th. Comments will be provided to the council for consideration, and staff will ask that the council take a vote on the recommendation at the April 17th council meeting. Does the council have any questions?
Are there any questions for Ms. Moon? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to the Wallula Gap application update. Mr. Barnes.
For the record, this is John Barnes, FSEC staff for the Wallula Gap application. On February 23rd, 2024, FSEC received Wallula Gap from Wallula Gap LLC an application to develop and build a 60 megawatt solar facility with optional battery storage, which will be located in Benton County. FSEC staff are currently working to secure a venue for the public meeting and hearing, as well as land use hearing. According to RTW 80.50.090, this hearing needs to take place 60 days after receiving the application. Once details have been finalized, an announcement will be posted to the council website with the time and location details. Here with me today are Tanner Gillespie and Nathan Stotler with Wallula Gap LLC to introduce you to the project. At this time, I'd like to turn the presentation over to them to begin their presentation.
Thanks, John, and thanks, Chair Drew, council members and staff. For the record, my name is Nathan Stotler. I'm an Associate Director for Development at One Energy Renewables, the applicant and developer of
If I could ask you to pause for just a second. Thank you. Mr. Young, I saw your hand up.
No, I did not raise my hand.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Continue.
We get an echo.
Yes, I heard it.
Is there still an echo?
Better.
Okay, great. As I said, my name is Nathan Stotler. I'm an Associate Director for Development at One Energy Renewables, the applicant and developer for the Wallula Gap Solar Project. As Mr. Barnes mentioned, we submitted our application just about a month ago. And yeah, here today to give you a quick intro to the project. We could skip to the next slide, please. A quick agenda for the presentation today. I'm going to give an introduction to One Energy as a company and the folks that are working on this project. Then we'll jump to an intro for the Wallula Gap Solar Project, and we'll close up with some questions. One Energy is a Seattle-based independent developer of mostly solar and some battery storage projects. We have offices located across the United States, also in Portland, Oregon, Boulder, Colorado, Madison, Wisconsin, and Washington, D.C. We were established 15 years ago, and in that time, we've been working on developing and building community solar projects, distributed generation projects, and large-scale solar projects like the Wallula Gap project. And that's resulted in 1.2 gigawatts of solar projects that have been built and are now operating across 120 distinct completed sites in the United States. And of that 1.2 gigawatts, 270 megawatts of those have been built or are under construction by One Energy itself, and that's spread across 47 projects. So the team of people at One Energy working on the Wallula Gap project are comprised of myself, Tanner Gillespie, a manager of project development, and Aaron Lynch, an associate of project development as well. One Energy prides itself on selecting very carefully targeted solar project sites that are low impact and high benefit for the land, for the landowner, and the community. This has resulted in a current pipeline of 4,000 megawatts that One Energy is working on in development, including 350 megawatts of solar project sites spread across 9 solar project sites in Washington State. And that is actually not inclusive of the 80 megawatt project called Goose Prairie that you all have actually already heard about on this call. That was developed by One Energy, permitted through FSEC in 2020 and 2021, with the SCA signed by Governor Inslee in late 2021 there. That project is located in Yakima County and was sold to Brookfield Renewables and is currently under construction. So that's it on the background for One Energy, and now we can jump into Wallula Gap Solar. So this project is located about 4 miles west of Plymouth, Washington, just north of the Columbia River, and just along State Highway 14, and also a few miles east of Patterson. You can skip to the next slide here.
That's not Yakima.
The landowners for the project are Farmland Reserve. I'm sorry, not sure how I got muted there. But the landowners for the project are Farmland Reserve Incorporated. The site control is a long-term land lease agreement that was signed in December of 2021. The zoning for the parcels is GMAAD, the Growth Management Act Agricultural District. This is in Benton County. Land use for the project right now is uncultivated pasture and agricultural operations, so dry land grazing. The land has previously been used for cultivation. It was previously irrigated by the landowner. It no longer is. They've moved their pivots off of the land and have decided to move their water to other pieces of land that are going to be more productive for them. So currently the land is fairly underused. Utility interconnection is through Benton PUD for delivery to BPA. So we have ongoing interconnection applications with both of those utilities. The system size is 60 megawatts AC for solar with an optional 240 megawatt hour battery storage system. The facility's parcels total 1,220 acres. The project area extent, which is also our leased area with the landowner, is just 437 of those acres. And the facility area will be 392 acres. So that 392 acre facility area will be microsited within the 437 acre project area extent. So we want to, we're looking at the full project area extent for the permit so that we have the option to make that final impact within that area as conditions deemed necessary as we near construction. The projected annual output for the project is just under 138,000 megawatt hours per year. Estimated online date would be end of year 2026 currently. We can skip to the next slide and we can take a look at the site. So following a robust alternatives analysis and just general siting exercise that One Energy conducted in Benton County, we arrived at this site, which we believe is the preferred site for a few reasons that are listed here. It has a high solar energy resource, very close proximity to existing transmission infrastructure, fairly flat topography across the site. It's, as I mentioned, uncultivated, unirrigated, and land that has been historically developed. And there are very few nearby neighbors that would be disturbed by the project. So yeah, we can skip to the next slide for a few images of the site as it is today. So as you can see, fairly flat, somewhat rocky, which I think contributes to the landowner not wanting to actually cultivate the land, just not worth the inputs for the crops that they're able to get off of the soil here. All right, and then our development timeline. This year and next year, completing permitting and development starting in 2026, moving into construction with that wrapping up at the end of year 2026. And then I have my dates a little bit off here, but Q1 2027 and on would be operations and maintenance. And in terms of operations and maintenance at this point, One Energy is in early discussions with a local sheep grazer to maintain the project area and the agricultural use of the land. All right, and our final slide here is a rendering of the site from State Route 14, looking northeast across the solar project. And that's all I have for you. Open myself up to any questions.
Council members, are there any questions for Mr. Stotler? Ms. Bumpus, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Drew. Thank you, Chair Drew. I just wanted to clarify something going back to Amy Moon's update about the Horse Heaven project. We talked about reviewing comments that come in through the comment period prior to the April 17 meeting. And the point I wanted to add to that update is that staff will be reviewing those comments. And our approach is to look at those comments and develop recommendations for the council in terms of edits to the documents that respond to or otherwise address those comments. So I just wanted to make that clarifying point as we prepare for the April meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Stotler, for the presentation. And we will look forward to the public informational meeting and land use hearing that are coming up.
All right, thank you, Chair Drew.
So at this point, we've come to the end of our agenda. We have no further business, so our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.